Well, welcome everyone. This is the Lunch and Learn for the Collective Darkness and Editing Me. Just a few quick things. Remember that if you buy the book today, you will get a free companion copy, Little Darkness. And Little Darkness has some of the same authors from Collective Darkness, so it's just different stories, so it's really fun. But today, what we're going to do right now is we are going to do a workshop. So feel free to get like pens, papers, like if you want to write out some story stuff, or if you just want to do it on your computer, but we're going to have a lot of interaction. So I'm going to share my screen. Okay, this one's on writer's block and how to get out of it. Okay, what is writer's block? And I'm going to make this small so you guys I won't see you guys on that. Okay, so the Wikipedia's definition, writer's block is a condition primarily associated with writing, in which an author loses the ability to produce new work or experiences a creative slowdown. This loss of ability to write and produce a new work is not a result of commitment problems or the lack of writing skills. So what does that mean? That means just you've been trying to write, you sat down and tried to write, and you just can't come up with anything. And maybe this doesn't happen for everyone. Maybe it's, you can write out a whole bunch of things, but think about if you can't write. We'll also talk about like if you've ever had problems with writing dialogue or even just like a feeling. So maybe the story itself is fine, but it's just like very small pieces. We'll just talk about that in just a second. But I feel like everyone may have felt like this at one point, just that really angry, just like, I can't think of what to do. So how are we going to overcome it? So before we do some activities, there are 3 things that are really important when it comes to overcoming writer's block. The first one is to avoid perfectionism. That's the biggest thing. A lot of times when we write, we rewrite, and then we rewrite again, and then it's an endless cycle, and you can't actually finish it because you just need it to be perfect. Just remember that when you write, it's never going to be perfect for everyone. There's always going to be a critic, and everyone always needs an editor. And publishers may like your idea, but then they'll be like, actually, we want this whole thing changed. So don't think that it needs to be perfect, because it can be good enough to hand it off to beta readers or hand it off to an editor to be able to get valuable information and to be able to, finish your story. So the most important thing is to finish that story. The next thing is to overcome fear. So fear, again, is like that anxiety of like, well, what if I say this story wrong? What if I can't actually, express the emotion appropriately? That's fine. The whole point of writing is to help to, learn about it and to just be okay with yourself. So just don't be afraid. Just overcome that fear. Okay, and then another thing, the final thing before we get into the activity is it's okay to take breaks. It really is. If you are stressed, you're not going to be that creative. You're going to be thinking about what's happening, what's wrong in your life. And so you just want to make sure that you are letting yourself have breaks, and it's okay. Like for me, and Jonathan can attest to this, we're editing and working hard on my book, and it was a lot of time. Like at one point, I think it was like 30 hours just straight of writing and editing and, just like working on the book to be able to make it good enough, right? Because I thought it was good enough, but then we needed to make it better to bring it to some editors or not editors, but to agents and publishers. And that was really like, I don't know how we did it, but after that happened, I haven't been writing as much. And I think like I've been writing small things, like short things, but I haven't written a big project. And that was maybe like 2 weeks ago or something. And it's mostly just been like, I'm tired. And so I'm feeling this like fatigue. And so, I mean, you could push through that, I guess, but sometimes it's okay to let yourself take that break. Because if you don't take that break, then you're just going to constantly find yourself like hitting against a wall and just not getting as much creativity as you want. Okay, any questions so far? No? Okay. It was weird. I had like, I know. Yes. Okay, so I'm going to talk about two different writing activities. One is this one is the starting in the middle. And so my source, if you want to find this, I'll share this so you guys can go and look more in depth. It came from Writer's Digest. But the idea with starting in the middle is you just skip over all the introduction. You don't really think about your ending. You just start in that like intensity. Just start right where you think that maybe it's starting a little too soon, or it's, you know, it's there's so much going on, so it's really exciting. And that can really jumpstart your writer's like creativity and get you out of that writer's block, because sometimes it, you know, helps that adrenaline rush. It helps you get really excited because you're actually doing that action-packed scene. Yeah. So here's a quote from Paul Buchanan. I hope I said his name right. I'm not sure. Buchanan, yes. So he was the one who, you know, helped create this. So beginning a story or novel or chapter in the middle of action can generate the momentum a reader needs to stay engrossed. When we launch into a media res, the conflict can already be at a high pitch. So our reader has something to worry about right away. So the idea is, yeah, again, we don't need to introduce everything because we just want that action. So, you know, and it's okay if you want to add in the beginning later, but let's just, you know, focus on that middle. So for this activity, I want you to find if you have a piece of paper and pen, or if you have your computer, we'll just take a few minutes here, but I want you to think about a story you're currently working on, or a story that maybe you want to work on, or just like a random story that you think could be fun. And in that, I want you to write 3 sentences. The first sentence will just talk about your whole beginning. It's kind of like your, you know, your pitch, right? So it's just, except for just little bits of that pitch, right? So the first sentence says everything about your beginning. The second is your middle, everything that happens in that middle. And the third is your end. Okay, so any questions so far? Or no? Okay, yeah, we'll just spend just a few minutes on that, and then we'll move on. Let me know if I'm going too fast too.
You're not stressed.
Okay, is everyone ready? Or do you need more time?
I would like to. This is going to be so fabulous.
Only if they want to share.
Only if they want to share.
Yeah.
I just.
Okay, so for everyone who's ready, does anyone want to share what they have? Mm-hmm. It's okay. Okay, so what I want you to do though with those sentences is look at how you wrote each sentence. And now I want you to see where that inciting action is, see how each action is progressing through each sentence. And then take that beginning, again, just take that beginning sentence and then set it to the side. And we're going to just focus on that middle. How much, and this will be something you'll need to do in your own time, because just with the timing. But see how much you can write of your middle and just your middle, and see how much can be expressed in your middle that that doesn't need to exactly be said in the beginning or the end, and just like focus on that. Yeah, and if you want to share it, you can, but hopefully that can help you with writer's block. If you ever have like a writer block on just your story, I think this one really helps because it just focuses you to just jump start right into this story. Don't even worry about your planning, just of the beginning, just the middle. Okay.
I can read mine if you want.
Oh yes, we'd love it.
Oh, Jonathan, I would love to hear
it. Okay. So, I don't know if I did this right. I just read kind of 3 sentences that sort of encompass like
right.
what the story was about. Is that
exactly
good? Okay. There was a dragon queen who ruled on high. That's the first sentence. There was a great battle between the dragon lords and the human peasants for ownership of the cave passages. There's a conflict because I guess that they wanted to get through the mountain. Anyway, the age of Dragonfire ended with the coronation of fisherman Eden the First. It's a fantasy story.
It's cool. Yeah, see, so you can see that in the middle, with that middle, like if you just started writing it, it's like immediately you just jump right into that story. And so you don't really have to think about the slow pace, the slow build up to that middle, because sometimes that can really halt people and with writer's block and can make them unable to write the story. So if you just started right in that middle, even if you do introduce the beginning later, if you start in that middle, it can help with the writing. So yeah, you did a good job, Jonathan.
Thanks.
Mm-hmm. Cool. Anyone else?
I mean, I can share mine. It felt more like I wrote like sort of a small encompassing pitch, I guess, but
That's fine.
Okay. So the beginning, when she was a little girl, Marianne dreamed of running away to live with fairies, but being kidnapped by them was not part of her plan. Middle, on the run in a strange mystical world, Marianne was put her trust in nightmarish creatures she once thought were the enemy. And end, finding her way home came at the expense of innocent lives, but was it really worth it?
That sounds like a good book. I'd like to actually.
My problem is like I ended it with a question because literally everything I write, I'm like, let's make a series. It's very annoying.
I liked that. Fairies. I like fairies.
Oh yeah, fairies are fun.
They're all over my work too, like on paintings on walls. Really cute.
So you now have a customer. So you better make them. But, yeah. Yeah, see, so the idea here is just to be able to write out a plot without planning too much. It's just to help you figure out where you are in your story. And plus, even if you don't start in the middle, even just writing those sentences out can really help you plan where to go. Because I'm one of those discovery writers that I'm trying not to be a discovery writer because while it's really fun to like be in the moment and it can really help with some writing, it makes things hard. Like, especially when you're like trying to add in foreshadowing, you have to go back multiple times. If you're not planning, like you're just like, I'm going to do this later. Like discovery writing is really fun, but I feel like I have to edit, multiple times, many, many, many more times. And so it's nice to find that balance. So you don't have to do like chapters on planning. 'Cause I know some people who will write like 100,000 words of plan, and that's a little too much for me. But even if you just have like a little bit of an outline, that can help as well. So, yeah. Okay. And then just kind of what did you learn, Okay, so here's the second activity. And this one, we're going to kind of round out the presentation here. But because this one you're going to have to do on your own. And I'll share this presentation if you guys want to look at it later. But the idea here is if you've ever read dialogue and you're in just like some random book and you're like, that is not what the characters would say. It just doesn't sound natural. It sounds very robotic. Or if you've been like, you can't figure out how to write dialogue in your story, these are some ways that you can get it. One is, first off, read your stuff out loud. Does that sound like a person you know, or does it sound like someone that you've created in your mind? Like, does that fit their personality? And then the other way, which will definitely take some planning, especially right now with COVID, because the best way is to like do this if it's like in, a public space. But since it's, everything's kind of quarantined, what I would suggest is either once everyone can go back to public space, find a public place, sit down. If you can't, watch a movie, see like how they're talking with each other. If you're able to see your family, talk with them, or like listen to their conversations throughout the day and see how they, speak to each other. And there is a balance though, because I know sometimes with dialogue, you don't want it to be too real, because sometimes if it's too real, this is something Jonathan likes to tell me because my writing can get, is it gets a little boring, right? So you want to cut that.
That doesn't sound like me.
Huh? What did you say?
So that doesn't sound like me.
Oh, no, right?
Oh, my.
So you want to make sure that there's a good balance with your dialogue where it sounds natural, but it's exciting enough where it's enough to be able to be like, oh, I want to keep reading more, right? And so when you listen to a conversation, either movie, people strangers, if you're just in a park, nowadays just put on your mask and just listen to what people say as they walk by, right? Because the idea here is just to get people, that natural dialogue. So then, and it also helps spark that creativity, because if you can't figure out what people say, this is your perfect opportunity. If your character goes to a coffee shop, once everything calms down and we're able to go to public events, go to a coffee shop and see how people talk. Or how do people talk in classrooms, right? When they're, when there's like a teacher there and the classmates are like whispering to each other, you could honestly, there's a lot of universities, once everything goes back to, normal, there's a lot of universities where they'll let you, obviously talk with the teacher to make sure it's okay, but some will let you sit in on the class and let you listen. And so you can kind of see what's going on in the surroundings. Or you could just watch it on a movie, because having movies can really be beneficial too, because they'll give you that balance, right? It's like that most exciting with the realistic. So hopefully that helps. But that's the end of my presentation. It's kind of a short little thing. If you have questions, definitely email me, and we can do like a much longer one of these in another time. And then of course, share the Collective Darkness website URL. But yeah, do you guys have any questions for me, or just the project as a whole? No?
Tell us how to get the Little Darkness book for free today.
Right. So if you want to get Little Darkness, you need to send me your receipt through this link, this email. And then or one of the email that's of mine, just contact me, and then I'll be able to send that Little Darkness to you. There's going to be other opportunities to get free stuff as well. So just stay tuned, because I want to give you guys as much opportunity to let your stories get out there and also have people read them too. So
Yeah,
Pretty easy. And
that's exciting. Yes, it is exciting.
okay, and stay tuned. So there is going to be another Zoom meeting if you guys want to attend. It'll be at 4:30, and that'll just be a Q&A, a quick thing, just like a closing, just like a thanks to everyone. But yeah. So thanks, guys.
This was
Thanks.
Yes, thanks.
Thanks.
Yes. See ya.
Bye. Good to meet everyone. Bye.